Hey, what's up? It's Ben from WODprep, and in this video, we're gonna talk about what you can do after the CrossFit Open. What should we do to maximize our performance moving forward, and most importantly, prepare us for the next CrossFit Open, whenever that might be. So recently, we just finished up the 2019 CrossFit Open, and there was a lot of new stuff thrown at us. There was some old school stuff. It was a great time. In my opinion, the workouts were great. They were designed very well, but there's a lot of athletes that came within our community and seemed frustrated with their performance, and they're the usual players, things like double unders, things like cardio capacity, things like bar muscle ups. It's all there. In this video, I'm gonna share exactly what you can do to improve your score moving forward. I'm gonna give you 4 simple steps that you can take to make sure that you maximize your performance based on what we've learned from the CrossFit Open. What can you do to move forward and become a better CrossFitter and better athlete overall? Before we get into that, it's really important. I want to highlight something incredible. Thousands of athletes have reached out to us and told us at WODprep that our videos have helped you improve your performance, whether that was in the Open or outside of the Open. We've been getting videos, Instagram messages, we've been getting emails, we've been getting YouTube comments. Everywhere, people have been saying that they have hit a new PR. We have people who've hit massive double under PRs. There's people who got their first double unders. There's people who've gotten their first bar muscle ups. Probably over 1,000 people got their first bar muscle up using one of our tips that we shared. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for reaching out. And if you haven't yet, if you've been watching my videos and you saw a huge improvement or a big PR, please leave a comment below and let me know. I want to hear your story. I like to handpick a couple really emotional, really valuable stories out of the crowd, and a lot of times we'll send you some free gear, free swag, and we might even interview you for our blog, or you can even shoot us an email. Just email ben@wodprep.com, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. I'm gonna give you 4 steps on how you can improve your performance moving forward. Step number 1, you need to take inventory. The CrossFit Open does a good job of testing various RX skills. So what you need to do analytically is look at your scores across the board. You need to be honest with yourself and figure out which were your better scores and which were your worst scores. Since there's a lot of data involved, it's pretty easy to tell. Just see where you ranked the least, and that's where we're gonna start our discussion today. So when you're looking at your score, you need to identify not only which workouts you weren't good at, but why you weren't good at them. If it was something like 19.1, it could have simply been because you just didn't have the capacity. You're not a tall person, and maybe you're not very good at cardio-based workouts, in which case that's a weakness that we need to identify, and we're going to improve that moving forward. Let's say something like 19.4 was where you struggled the most. You didn't get a very good score, and it's because you hit a brick wall when you got to that bar, whether it was the pull-ups or maybe it was the bar muscle-ups. We also need to take inventory of that. So what I mean is I want you to look and be honest with yourself and identify which workouts you struggled with, and most importantly, what specifically in the workout caused you to struggle. What I want you to do right now, you can take out a sheet of paper or you can write it in the comments below, is identify 3 of your weakest movements. So for instance, this could be something like a lot of people might struggle with bar muscle ups, they might struggle with chest to bar pull-ups, and they might also struggle with just pull-ups in general, or strict pull-ups. Or honestly, we can replace that with another RX skill, handstand push-ups. So let's assume those 3 moving forward. Step number 2 is to take those 3 movements and identify the domino. When I say the domino, I mean what is the one movement that you can tackle, that you can topple over, that will cause many other movements to fall down. What I mean by this is which movement is preventing you from seeing success in all other movements. In the example I used, I talked about muscle ups, I talked about chest to bar pull-ups, and handstand push-ups. What's really interesting about these 3 is they all involve some sort of upper body push or pull. My guess is the athlete that struggles with these 3 movements probably also struggles with strict pull-ups. So even though you might not have been doing something like strict pull-ups in the Open, I wouldn't be surprised if this case study athlete has very little upper body pulling strength. So what that means is that if they focused on the domino of strict pulling strength, then it would knock down all the other movements that they're trying to learn. So in this case, if you learned how to increase your strict pull-ups from, let's say, 1 or 2 reps to 5+ unbroken reps, do Do you think that athlete is going to be better at bar muscle ups and at chest to bar pull-ups? Yes, and probably better at handstand push-ups at the same time. So what we're looking for, what I want you to do now, you've identified 3 movements that you need to improve upon. Now I need you to identify one movement that's the main domino that's going to knock those things over. Let's give you another case study. Let's say overhead squats, snatches, and handstand push-ups. All of these involve something called shoulder mobility. So perhaps shoulder mobility is the biggest domino, the biggest thing that's holding you back. If you improved your shoulder mobility, do you think you'd get better at handstand push-ups, at overhead squats, at snatches? You better believe it. So what I'm looking for is, what is the one thing that if you improved that one particular movement, all other dominoes would start to fall down? That's that lead domino that we're looking for. I want you to identify that. And again, you can leave a comment below or just circle or write on that sheet of scratch paper, what is your lead domino? Step number 3. Once we've identified the main thing that we need to focus on, we need to come up with a process. And I have a process I'm going to recommend to you. So when I say a process, notice I'm not saying a goal. Oftentimes, in this case study example, let's say your goal is to move from 2 strict pull-ups to 5 strict pull-ups so that it can improve all these other movements we just talked about. Well, if you just say, I want to be able to do 5 strict pull-ups, it's very hard to define how you're going to get there. So instead of coming up with an end goal, that might be something like more pull-ups or more muscle-ups or more double unders, that's an outcome goal. I want you to instead identify a process goal that will help you reach the outcome goal. So when we talk about process goals, that's something like, I will practice strict pull-up strength 3 times per week for 15 minutes each time. Something as simple as that, if you stuck to that process, you would naturally move closer and closer to reaching your outcome goal. So process over outcome. That's what I want you to really focus on here. What can you do as a process to help you achieve those goals? So like I just mentioned, my suggestion overwhelmingly for most athletes is to keep doing the normal programming that they're doing. All they need to do is add on one layer of accessory programming on top of their normal training. So that might mean you might go to your CrossFit gym or follow a program Monday through Friday. Maybe you don't work out on the weekends, you do Monday through Friday. All you would need to do is add in one 15-minute session on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that's 3 sessions, 15 minutes of practice on one specific movement. I'm going to make a little digression here. Oftentimes, a ton of people run into a big issue because they have shiny object syndrome. They're like, well, I need to work on pull-ups, I need to work on bar muscle-ups, handstand push-ups, handstand walks, double unders. I need to work on a lot of things. And that's how they approach their training. They just kind of stick around at the gym, and maybe one day they're doing double under practice, one day they're doing handstand push-ups, the next day they're trying to do, like butterfly muscle-ups or something like that. Like, they're just all over the place. That might be fun, but honestly, at this point in your CrossFit journey, it's not the smartest thing for you to do. If you're someone who has very clear issues that are holding you back, you need to systematically focus. You need to have a process for focusing on that specific issue rather than just dabbling in a bunch of different stuff. I know a lot of you might be shaking your head. A lot of people, they just kind of get in the gym and say, I want to work on this movement because it shows up in the programming today. And they'll dabble for 10, 15 minutes, and then the next day, they're on to whatever the next day's programming is, and that's all they focus on. Instead, we need to take a more strategic approach, and that's why we've identified the lead domino, and we've come up with a process. So again, 2 to 3 days per week of 15 to 20 minutes per session. That is a great formula for achieving success in just as short as a few weeks. If you want to really focus on one movement, take that one movement and add in some accessory programming that meets that criteria, and you will see success. Sorry for the interruption, but I have someone here to give you a special message. Alfred would like for you to hit the subscribe button down there. Isn't that right? Yes, it is. Alfred would like you to subscribe. It's time to move on to the last step of this equation. Step number 4 is find accountability. If you are able to bring someone else into your sphere of influence, instead of just staying in your bubble and saying, yeah, I think I'm gonna practice pull-ups a few times a week or something, instead of doing that, come up with your process and then bring someone into that process with you. So if you have a gym friend or a workout buddy, bring them in and say, hey, do you want to practice with me on this movement Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 15 minutes after our class? They say yes, perfect. Now you have an accountability buddy, and the chances of you achieving your end goal and sticking, most importantly, to the process of achieving that goal, having that social element of fitness is what makes us stick and is what makes us stay consistent. So find that accountability partner, even if it's someone who's not working on the same movement. So let's say you're working on strict pull-ups, but your friend is a super athlete and they need to work on strict handstand push-ups or bar muscle-ups or stringing together big sets of ring muscle-ups. That's fine. Just make sure they stick with one movement and they limit it to about 15 to 20 minutes per session, and then they focus on that movement while you're focusing on your movement. It's important not to skip around from movement to movement. It's important to focus for at least a few weeks at a time on one specific skill or that lead domino so that you can maximize your results. Next, we have one more step to this equation. So to review, let's go over what we've done so far. Number one, we took inventory of the skills that we need to improve upon. 2, we identified the lead domino that we need to knock down in order to knock down all the others. Number 3, we identified not an outcome goal, but we identified the process goal that we need to stick to in order to achieve that desired outcome. And then number 4, we found an accountability partner to help us stick to that process and actually achieve that end goal. Last but not least, we need to repeat the process. So if you're someone who just wrapped up the CrossFit Open in 2019, this is a very interesting time of the year because we now only have 6 months before the next Open. Depending on when you're watching this, you might have less time than that. So identify how long you have until your next event, your next major competition, or for a lot of people, that CrossFit Open. Identify when that is and work backwards until now. So at the time of creating this video, there's roughly 6 months before the next CrossFit Open. That, in my opinion, is the perfect opportunity to focus on 3 or 4 movements. Instead of jumping from movement to movement to movement, start with that lead domino, start with the lead movement that's gonna knock down all the others, and focus on that for the next 2 months. Again, 3 times per week, 15 to 20 minutes per session, and you will see tons of progress, and you don't even have to throw your normal programming out the window. After those 2 months, take maybe a few days off, a week off, and then add in the next movement, that next domino that you need to knock down. Do that for 2 months, 2 to 3 times per week, 15 to 20 minutes per session, and then do it again. Keep bringing all 4 of these steps into play. Identify what that lead domino is, have an accountability partner, identify your process. If you do that step, it's so simple. If you do these things and you stick to them and you have the self-discipline to actually stick to that process, you will see incredible success, and you're gonna leave all those dabblers, all the people who just kind of show up and hop around and play around. They might look like they're having a little bit more fun, but I promise you, when it comes time to actually testing your fitness and seeing how far you've come, this is how you are going to make the most progress. So where do we wrap this video up? Well, we're wrapping it up right now. Here at WODprep, our goal is to help you achieve these goals. We are super focused on helping you identify your lead domino, come up with a process, and we actually give you the exact step-by-step process and the exact programming, the reps, the sets, the drills. We do everything for you, and that is what WODprep does. Not only do I release lots of free videos, but we have paid coaching courses that have helped thousands, probably tens of thousands of athletes hit brand new PRs and master new skills. So at the time of shooting this video, within the next couple weeks, we are releasing a program that is going to implement the exact same process. So I don't want to go into details here. You might not be interested in paying for coaching at all, and that's totally fine. We have lots of free videos. But if you're someone who's looking for the exact domino that you need to knock over, if you want a coach to help you come up with the exact programming, the reps, the sets, the time frame in which to do these movements and practice these skills, if you're looking for accountability, if you need someone to help you actually stick to all of these good processes and good habits that you need to develop these skills long term, if you need all that, make sure that you're on the WODprep email list. Just go to wodprep.com and sign up, and we will make sure to let you know when our next coaching group is open so that you can finally see the success that you're after and dominate the Open. So I hope you liked this video. Thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you think these tips are garbage. It is something that we've done with thousands and thousands of athletes, and I hope that you come join us in our next coaching group. If you haven't yet, make sure you smash the subscribe button because we are giving away a free level 1 certification once we hit 100,000 subscribers. So click it. And that's it. I'll see you next week. Peace.